And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another installment of my weekly series, Valiant to the Last, in which I read the entire Valiant Comics universe. This all started off with me thinking I was going to read just my deluxe editions, and then me, typically being me, I've now started reading all the uncollected single issue and trade paperbacks as well. To wit, today we are going to be looking at Rapture. So, last week we looked at Ninjak Deluxe Edition Volume 1. And before diving into Ninja Deluxe Edition Volume 2, which we'll do next time, I had heard on the grapevine and from my research that there's this four-issue limited series which actually is set directly after the final arc in Volume 1, which was Operation Deadside. We talked about that last time. And this is also written by Matt Kint and also stars Ninjak and is clearly a sequel to that Operation Deadside arc, which is Ninjak issues 10 to 13. So I thought, right, I reckon this goes here. So I've given it a try and I've read it. What I can confirm is that it does star Ninjak. It also stars Punk Mambo. It also stars Shadow Man, who is in the Operation Deadside arc of Ninjak as well. And it also stars Tama, who is the young Geomancer. Now, we've seen Tama very briefly in one of the Harbinger stories and also one of the Bloodshot stories as well. But I don't want to talk about it much because I think it might give people some slight spoilers, and I kind of feel like I need to know more about Tama's story before I read Rapture or really understand what's going on in Rapture, because I found myself even finding in the first issue I was kind of like, where's Gilad? Where's the Eternal Warrior? Because he's meant to hang around with the Geomancer, but he's not in it. Anyway, long story short, four issues. The whole thing is set in the Dead Side, which is their version of the Underworld in the Valiant universe. Um, I thought it was okay. As I've said in many of my videos, I have an existing prejudice against stories involving magic and involving the underworld and involving swords and sorcery. So I'm generally not a big fan of those anyway. It's one of the reasons I'm leaving all the Shadow Man stuff, all the Punk Mambo stuff, all the Dr. Mirage stuff to the very end of the reading order, just because I'm not really looking forward to reading that part of the Valiant universe. So Rapture is set entirely within the Dead Side. As I said, it's got Punk Mambo in it, who's pretty cool. It's got Shadow Man in it, who's I suppose interesting-ish, and then it has Tama. In terms of where this fits, I'm not sure this actually should have gone here in my reading order, which I know sounds weird because it does star Ninjak and it is set straight after Ninjak issues 10 to 13, but it feels like a very self-enclosed story for Ninjak. I suspect that next week when we read Ninjak Volume 2, the effects and the impact of the events of Rapture are not going to be mentioned. This is something, if you're reading Ninjak, I suspect you can just completely ignore. And similarly, I guess, for Puck Mambo and Tama and things like that, the only character where there's actually a bit of a change to their status quo in terms of where they are by the end of the story is different to where they are at the beginning of the story is the character of Jack Boniface or Shadow Man. And as such, I read this, I thought it was fine, had no problem with it. It kind of fits in well here from a Ninjak point of view, but I do suspect that when I start reading the Shadow Man comics, which will be in several months' time, that I'll think to myself, oh right, that thing happened in Rapture, which explains why Volume 2 is like this, or something. So I suspect that's going to be the case. So watch this space. I suspect we'll be coming back to Rapture as part of our Shadow Man reading order rather than part of our Ninjak reading order. Although for now, reading it here does make sense. The story itself was passable. The art was okay. It was basically pretty average. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It's definitely not worth worrying about if it's not something you already have in your collection, and it's definitely not something I have a problem with not being collected in my deluxe edition collection. I'm not going to go out my way and do a custom bind or anything like that. Unless, of course, I end up being a massive Shadow Man fan, which I think is going to be unlikely, but you never know. The Valiant universe is full of surprises. So that's it. I'll keep it short. I'll keep it sweet. That's what I thought of the four-issue Rapture miniseries in 2017 that continued Operation Deadside from Ninjak. In next week's video, we're going to be looking at Ninjak Deluxe Edition Volume 2, which collects the rest of that series of Ninjak from issues 14 to 27. And yeah, I guess I'll catch everyone next time. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at I am Thomas Judge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.